Hi! Sight reading or playing by ear? Tell us all this time. The $1,000,000 question, or question us all this time. Playing by ear versus sight reading. Which one is better? In this video, I'm going to be talking about the differences between playing by ear and sight read, sheet music, and any kind of instrument playing. And also, I will be talking about how to approach each one. Which one's better? And how to set up yourself for success. So I'll begin with playing by ear. When you play by ear, you basically take an instrument, whether it's a guitar or piano or flute, whatever, and you are trying to imitate a melody that you have heard, and you basically reproduce that melody. So that's in a nutshell playing by ear. And if you're more skillful at your instrument, you can add different variations and motifs to the original idea to make it more interesting and intriguing, but this is pretty much it. When you sight read, you get the same piece and you sight read it from what's written on the page of the language of music. We use notes, and there's a bunch of symbols and different stuffs that people don't understand and think it's really hard if they haven't done it. And if they have done it, probably not with the right approach, that there's this notion that it's really hard. But with sight reading, you read that, right? And then you are able to play it. If you're more advanced with sight reading, you can play it immediately, perfect, or close to perfect, because perfection doesn't really exist. It's a very relative concept. There's nothing perfect in this world, and yet everything is perfect as it is. But when you have this sheet music and you read it and you reproduce it, you can do that immediately, right? But with playing by ear, you could also reproduce it immediately. And I know it sounds contradicting, but here's how you can look at it to make it simpler. So you hear something and you practice to reproduce the same sound and play it by ear, yeah? The same way, you hear something and you want to reproduce it, and you can do it by ear, or you can read it in the sheet music, right? But then you don't need any practice. You can immediately play it. If you are advanced enough at sight reading, if you're good enough and you have practiced, right? So it's like long-term versus short-term thinking. So short-term thinking would be, okay, if I want to play something by ear, I'll be able to play it right now, but it would take me years of sight reading practice to be able to sight read at the level to where I could play it immediately, right? So you see, long-term thinking would be more of a sight reading, but then the results are going to be immediate results for both. If I have practiced sight reading for years, for example. But you don't have to practice sight reading for years. You can take a shortcut. There are ways to sight read sooner and faster, without the much pain of years of sight reading to get there. That's one thing, one side of the story. And then another side of the story is that with sight reading, you don't have a ceiling of how advanced you're gonna get, okay? The sky is the limit. With playing by ear, you are going to play up to mediocre and maybe get better with a lot more technique and kind of impressive in a way. With sight reading, though, there is no ceiling. So there's that. The differences, right? Playing by ear, hearing it and doing it. Maybe add some harmony once you're comfortable doing the melody with one of the hands. For piano and guitar, and for flute would be like, just one line. And you get there with sight reading. Any piece of music you get, you're able to play. And doesn't matter how difficult it is. Good luck playing by ear something by Chopin or Rachmaninoff. You know what I mean? That's so much complexity that actually would be easier to just sight read it. So there's that. Now I do want to talk a little bit of how to approach both. Now that we talked about the differences and we established those, I want to talk about how to approach each one. For example, if you are sight reading and let's say you're playing piano, I would suggest you to start with your left hand and practice left hand through, kind of see where you were at. Then maybe add in the right hand, practice through the right hand and then place hands together for any piece of music really, depending how difficult it is. But let's say it's more difficult than what you can sight read immediately. So that's the way to go. Majority of people struggle with playing sight reading and playing bass clef compared to treble clef, and that's why I suggest just start with the bass clef first, for example. Now for playing by ear, on another hand, it's totally different story. I'd suggest to do the opposite. Start with the melody, okay? You want to make it sound like the song. Don't start with the harmony. I find way too often that, especially with guitar players, that play by ear, they download sheet music with chords, like tabs, and they learn their chords and then try to sing on top of that. Okay, if you're singing, that's fine, but they most of the time not always sing. So they just end up playing some chord progression with the same rhythm, and all of their songs sound the same. It's like a guy with a guitar, with the rhythm guitar, playing a bunch of chords. Now, if he sings, and hopefully he sings good, or right, then it's sounding like the song. But if he doesn't, then it's just a bunch of rhythm guitar and all the songs sound the same. Or piano, the same way. So I'd suggest to start with the melody. When you're playing by ear, you really want to start with the melody because you want to make the song sound like the song you are trying to play. And then add harmony on the bottom or chords. And with just a simple one prolonged chord on each chord progression, change the chord and one prolonged chord on the bottom of the melody to back it up. And once you're more comfortable with that, and by more comfortable, I mean record yourself. Do an audio recording on your iPhone or a video like this for feedback and listen to it and see like, am I hesitating here or there, or it's fluent and it's by my liking? It's by your liking, then okay, then you can make the harmony a little bit more complicated. Maybe instead of just prolonged chords, you can have rhythm. So maybe you were having some song that you were playing where prolonged chord and then next bar or whatever. And then you can make it as a rhythm. While you're playing the melody on the top. Or whatever you're playing in the other hand. Regardless of what instrument you're playing, of course, except something like flute, for example, where you can't have both at the same time. So anyway, hope that helps. And to answer which one is better, Both. When you ask me what do I choose, this or this, I always say I want them all. Why not having it all? They're both really good. It's good to be versatile and holistic approach towards music. And anyway, about music, the byproduct of music is learning, okay? Number one thing in music, why its purpose is here on this planet, is to bring joy, okay? And inspiration and calm and peace. And you approach the instrument with passion and love, and it's your happy, relaxing space. Learning is a secondary, it's a byproduct. If you focus on the learning, it will be the next chore. Oh, I gotta do this. Versus if you focus on the joy, it will be like, heck yeah, I get to do this. Versus I have to do this. Big difference. And only 5 minutes is enough for this peace and joy. 5 minutes more often is more important than long periods of time, not as often. 5 minutes a day is so much better than 3-4 hours a week. Trust me, because that's how you develop the habit of coming back to the instrument. You know, you build a momentum, you build joy. So why not have it all? Why should you choose ear training or ear playing by ear versus sight reading? That's how I like to do it. And that's how I like to teach it. And that's why I created the Piano Tribe community in school, where we have fun. And yes, we have courses section with ear training courses and sight reading courses and beginners and intermediate and specific pieces, whatever. That's not the focus. The focus is the joy and peace, the habit of coming to the instruments. And then byproduct is the learning. So wherever you are in your journey, join us. When you see this video, when I'm recording this video now, this is free. It's free, and please come in.